everyone! Welcome to the third part of Would You Still Love Me If I Was a Worm challenge. Getting on with TeruShouEnnoTana this time. Let's get into it, shall we? As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads, and I hope you will enjoy! The glee he felt over the challenge topic was only dulled by his worry that his boyfriends might not take it seriously. Obviously, this wasn't a question to be taken too seriously, but there was an underlying message in the answers one could get. He forbid himself to overthink it, and instead focused on making the most out of the chance to spend some time alone with his boyfriends again. In the end, the question was still just a challenge, not something deeply philosophical. But it would be kinda sad if they said no. Who wouldn't want a cute worm? Determined to make the most of it, he jumped up from the chair and hurried outside, where he knew Ennoshita was working hard on planting the new flowers into the pots. You sure you don't need help? Ennoshita looked up, and Terushima had to stop himself from cooing when he noticed the smudges of dirt on his beloved's cheek. It's fine. You could grab those pots and put them in the hangers if you want to work that bad. He didn't, but working and helping his boyfriend were two very separate things in his head. And so he grabbed the nearest replanted pot and hoisted it into its holder, repeating until there were only two remaining pots in front of them, one of which Ennoshita was just finishing. They look great. I love the colors. That's good. I picked some that you like. For real? Sure enough, he spotted his beloved anemones nested in the pot next to one with Tanaka's favorite violets, and now joined by one of Daisho's favorite forget-me-nots. Aw, Chica, you're awesome. Ennoshita smiled softly, smudging a little dirt on Terushima's cheek as well. So I've been told. Do you have anything else to do right now? I could use your muscles to move those bags. My muscles? You're stronger than me. Despite that, he didn't let himself get asked more times and grabbed the nearest bag of soil, hauling it to the table so that Ennoshita didn't have to bend down all the time. I better get an answer to my question for this though. What was that? That I want to ask you something. He let the last bag fall on the ground with a huff, and then instantly brightened when Ennoshita pulled him into a kiss. He no less than melted, a quiet whine leaving his mouth when Ennoshita pulled away again. Thanks. What's the question? Oh, would you still love me if I was a worm? Ennoshita raised his eyebrow at him as if contemplating what got into his head. You want me to be into worms? No, I want you to be into me in a worm form. How's that different? Terushima pouted and crossed his arms over his chest. This was exactly what he was worried about, and it didn't even take long to manifest. Because it would be me. Come on, don't you know I would be the cutest worm ever? How could you pass on that? Ennoshita narrowed his eyes at him. Well, if you would be as annoying as a worm, I would feed you to the nearest bird. Ouch! You're hurting my feelings. Sighing, Ennoshita tugged on his hand to pull him closer, perhaps instinctively pushing away the strand of hair that fell over Terushima's eye. So tender for someone who just broke his little warm heart. You aren't a worm, Yuji. I love the human you, and I would be sad if you turned into a worm, okay? Mainly because worms don't usually live for long. I'd miss you. Terushima's heart skipped a beat. Aw, that's weirdly sweet. Forgetting his previous grievances, he wrapped his arms around Ennoshita's waist and spun him around, earning a surprised squeal followed by the sweetest laughter he knew. Well, maybe with the exception of Suguru's, but they didn't really get much opportunity to hear that. Almost none, to be precise. What are you thinking about? Have you seen Suguru smile recently? I mean, for real, not that soft half smile he does. A similar shadow to the one settled over his mind flashed over Ennoshita's face. Not really. He smiles at Tori sometimes, but that's not it, is it? No. They stayed silent for a while, thinking about the same thing, until Ennoshita gently nudged his side. Try asking him this too. Maybe that will bring him to some nicer thoughts. And we could plan some outing for the weekend. What do you think? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Now knowing what to approximately expect from his boyfriends, Terushima fixed his gaze on Tanaka, who was possibly going to be the biggest challenge to pry an answer from. While the two of them were similar in many ways, and their relationship never missed the little competitive spark, there were still things that pushed them apart sometimes. Terushima hated it, as he wanted to be close to all three of his boyfriends. But he couldn't deny he wasn't Tanaka's favorite. He was far from feeling any jealousy over being pushed to the third place now that Tanaka and Daisho grew much closer, but it reminded him of some unfortunate truths. Hey, Earth to Yuji, anyone in there? He startled, for a moment confused as to where he was until he recalled he was heading to the bedroom before he had to space out. Tanaka stood opposite of him, watching him with a concerned look in his eyes, which made Terushima wonder whether he was unintentionally overthinking it. Well, that was a stupid sentiment. Of course he was overthinking it. Tanaka loved him, otherwise they wouldn't be here, right? Yuji, hey, are you okay? Do you need to sit down or something? Oh, sorry, I'm present, it's fine. He flashed Tanaka a smile, which, judging by his expression, didn't work as well as he wanted. A second later, Tanaka cupped his cheeks, and Terushima no less than melted into the warm touch. Is something going on? You look worried. No, it's nothing, really. Just thinking about some stuff. Uh-huh, sure. Come on, fess up. What's wrong? There seemed to be no escape from Tanaka, not when he got all worried and protective, but it was also strangely calming. Reassuring even. Surely Tanaka wouldn't press so much if he couldn't care less, right? And so he sighed, a much more relaxed smile curling his lips. Nothing is wrong, I swear. I was just wondering what you would say. Say to what? If you would still love me if I was a worm. As expected, Tanaka arched an eyebrow at that question before he pursed his lips as if thinking hard about something. I mean, I guess. I would have you fertilize our garden if you were an earthworm. Oh, so you would just make me work, huh? Typical. He pouted despite there being nothing he would be offended by. After all, he would be a worm. What else could they do with him? Spending his days in the garden didn't sound so bad either. But it was the principle. He flinched when Tanaka gently flicked his forehead, and then hummed in surprise when he was pulled into a kiss.
I would care for you. Is that not a proof of love? I would even get you a jar for the evenings.
I don't think worms need to sleep, but thanks for the thought. I suppose it does consider as love, doesn't it? A much lighter kiss landed on his cheek.
You're thinking too much about it. Come on, I have something for you.
Confused as to what Tanaka could have for him, he followed him back into the living room, double confused when Tanaka handed him a long envelope. What's that?
You will see when you open it.
Terushima did as he was told, his confusion shifting into surprise when 2 tickets slid on his palm. On a closer inspection, he recognized those as tickets for the nearby baseball stadium, and by the looks of it, they were for some pretty good seats. What's that for? Tanaka shrugged.
Call it an early birthday present. I heard there'll be a big match, so I thought why not go together?
He paused, his hand straying to the back of his neck as he chuckled a bit awkwardly.
I mean, you can take whoever you want with you, they are both yours. I just thought it could be nice to go, like the 2 of us.
The joy and relief that flooded Terushima's whole being had no equal. Not only could he go watch a game with his favorite team playing, he could double it as a date, and on top of everything, Tanaka bought the tickets with the 2 of them in mind, despite not being the biggest fan of baseball. If that wasn't a proof of love, then he didn't know what was. Moved, he went for a hug, melting for real when Tanaka's arms wrapped around him.
Of course I want to go with you. It's going to be the best, you'll see. Can't wait.
Terushima grinned and snuggled closer, humming contently. Apparently, he really was overthinking it. Encouraged by both responses he got so far, he waited impatiently for Daisho to come home from practice. He hoped they could have much more time to spend together, just the 2 of them, but every hour was worth treasuring, especially these days. Ever since they returned from their prison visit, he couldn't help but keep an eye out on Daisho at all times, growing restless and nervous whenever they were apart. Sure, he knew that whatever his ex did to him was messed up, but after meeting with the guy face to face, his imagination had a field day anytime he recalled the creep's words. And it was around that time when Daisho stopped smiling again, as if he knew they were digging around in his past that was better left sleeping. Determined to make it better somehow, he was already preparing a plan for the most awesome date he could think of, filled with style Daisho loved, and hoped that would be enough to chase the shadow from his face.
Hopefully it's not going to make it worse.
He jumped up when he heard the door click and rushed to the hallway, relieved when he saw Daisho unharmed and seemingly in a slightly better mood.
Thank goodness for volleyball. At least he has something to recharge.
Welcome home. He opened his arms, earning a gentle look before Daisho sank into the hug. Thank you.
For what?
For the hug. I needed it. Itching to ask why that was, Terushima bit his tongue and focused instead on Suguru, gently rubbing his back to soothe whatever was hurting his beloved. He could ask later, Right now, he had other priorities. You can relax now. I know. That's why I'm so glad I'm home. And that you're here too. Terushima smiled, the flutter of his heart drowning out his previous worries.
Always at your service. Do you want something to eat? There isn't much, but I can put something together for you if you want.
It's alright, I've eaten on the way. Would you take a nap with me? Just for a while. Please.
Almost melting, Terushima kissed his forehead and then gently tugged on his hand. He led the way to the bedroom, taking note of how difficult it seemed for Daisho to keep a straight direction, his wobbly walk betraying just how exhausted he had to be. No wonder, since his nightmares had returned in full force recently. And the more happy Terushima was that Suguru asked him to accompany him during his nap. He plopped down on the bed and tapped on the free space next to him, his heart skipping a beat when, after a short moment of hesitation, Daisho curled to his chest and let himself get hugged. Aw, you're really tired, aren't you? And here I thought I could ask you right after you come home.
Daisho raised his head, his eyes already clouding with sleep, yet curious at the same time. Ask what?
It's a bit stupid, but would you still love me if I was a worm?
He felt a little bad for keeping Suguru from sleeping, but at least he would have it off his mind and could put all his attention on his boyfriend. Daisho seemed to think about it for a while before he hid his face in Terushima's chest again. I suppose I would, if I knew it was you. I mean, I would miss the human you, but I would take care of you for sure.
Aw, you're so sweet when you're sleepy. And overall too.
Unable to resist, he kissed Daisho's forehead again, earning a soft whine as Daisho slowly drifted into sleep.
I just wish things wouldn't bother you so much. Something's troubling you, isn't it? I haven't seen you smile for the last 3 weeks.
Daisho paused, a deep sigh escaping his mouth. It's just the usual stuff.
Yeah, figured. I just wish it would all leave you alone so you could be content.
I am content. Here, with all of you with me.
Terushima blinked in surprise, kinda liking this sleepy and honest side of Suguru. He wanted to comment on it, but then stopped himself when he noticed Suguru's breathing evened, telling him he finally fell asleep. With a soft smile settled on his lips, he pulled him a little closer and closed his eyes too, already feeling exhaustion creeping into his bones as well. They could talk more later. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'm very much enjoying this challenge, to be honest. It's kinda stupid, but I still love it. Also, there are going to be some experiments coming, so keep an eye out on that. In the near future, let's say. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.